Well, let's unpack some of those scenes that you've seen in the last couple of stories. And joining us in the studio is the ANC spokesperson, Zizi Kodwa. Thank you very much for joining us and welcome to the programme.
Happy Workers' Day to you. Yes,
happy Workers' Day. We're all working on Workers' Day. It's been a difficult day for the Alliance today. The chairperson of the Free State ANC said it was embarrassing what he saw today. Is that the position of the ANC?
Nobody can celebrate what happened today. There is no winner of what happened today. We were, however, pleased that generally the day went peacefully throughout the country. Workers of the country, to length and breadth, celebrated as they should. And I think it's unfortunate that one or two incidents have tended to overshadow the significance of the day, because the day really belongs to workers.
You say one or two incidents, but they involve the most senior people. We have the President in Bloemfontein, we have the National Chairperson in Durban, and the Deputy Secretary General in Polokwane, all of them unable to deliver important speeches on such an important day.
I think I reiterate the point that it went peacefully and it was incident-free, because it does not belong even to the leaders you mentioned. This day belongs to workers. It does not. That's why I think some of the incidents that happened today, they are regrettable and unfortunate, because we have reduced the significance of this day to political personality cults, as though they belong to certain individuals, regardless of our preferences. But this day really belongs to workers who, through their sacrifices, have brought us where we are. And I think it's unfortunate that the significance of this day for any new worker will not understand and appreciate how important this day, including those who gathered in Bloemfontein, that they needed to appreciate that this day belongs to them. And therefore, other issues about preferential leadership of the ANC and unfortunate premature statements which have been made, what happened today as an incident is a direct consequence of some of these premature statements have been made about leadership.
All right. If it's about the workers, why didn't you listen to the workers when they said, please do not send the president?
No, I think it's important to put things in context. The rally was organized by Cosatu, and there is no Cosatu decision that President Zuma shall not, will not, and must not address any of the Cosatu rallies as a president of the ANC as a starting point. The principal view which has been expressed in public in Cosatu unequivocally is a CEC decision they took about the president of the republic. Now, we have always cautioned about and advised about these premature pronouncements, because in themselves they undermine the efforts we're making to foster unity in the alliance. As we would have seen now, it's no longer about undermining unity within the alliance, but also within the federation, because that decision of the federation is now interpreted and misinterpreted by their own affiliate. So the divisions you don't only see in the alliance, but also in the intra-alliance. And I think it's unfortunate that, against our advice again, that all our alliance partners, they must desist from making these premature pronouncements. As I again indicated, the incident of today is a direct consequence of some of these announcements.
So, President of Cosatu's Dumod Lamini said that the events of today were expected. Surely they should have advised the ANC as the alliance partner that there is this ill feeling, that there are members within Cosatu that don't want to see the president at this rally. Shouldn't they have given you that advice, and shouldn't you have heeded it?
I think it was important to also understand things in context again. It was not only the president who was booed, but also we can't say because other members were booed it was correct. The fact that all speeches were cancelled. It's unfortunate that leaders of the alliance could not be able to deliver a message on behalf of their organization, including the ANC. And I think it is important to always appreciate that these incidences are a cumulative effect of what we can regard as ill discipline we have seen. Because issues of leadership are not resolved through a rally. We have seen a booing of the Treasurer General in KwaZulu-Natal when he attended a memorial service. Pravin Gordhan was also booed. Even at that time, we condemned those who were there. We said the impact of such incidents. Others use the platform of today to revenge what had happened elsewhere. It doesn't resolve issues of the alliance. That's why I started by saying, unfortunately, there is no winner of what happened today, wherever you look at it. Unfortunately, nobody must celebrate. As long as you are within the alliance, you've got to be worried. Hence, I agree with the chairperson of Free State. It's an embarrassment that all of us were not able to deliver our message.
You're calling it ill discipline. And we heard the Free State chairperson saying that they're going to check footage to see the people that were ill-disciplined, as it were. And the question is, don't they have a voice as well? Isn't this a legitimate voice that they were angry and they're upset and they're expressing themselves?
What is important is that for us, if we are to talk about unity in the year of OR Tambo, it's important to understand what we're talking about. And therefore, there must be a way in which our masses, including members of the organization, members of Cosatu, members of the ANC, and vice versa, members of the Communist Party, members of the ANC, and vice versa, there is a way in which we resolve issues of leadership, even beyond issues of leadership. The strength of the alliance has always been contradiction. And how we manage those contradictions is not through a rally that will resolve issues of selection and succession of the ANC. The rally does not debate. You saw what happened today. You can't say who is a winner today on the basis of a noise that came from all these meetings. But there is a way. That's why we are convening a political council meeting in a few days to come, because we believe there are better platforms within the alliance to resolve those issues.
You've been using the word self-reflection for some time now. In fact, I would say as far back as the local government election results. But it seems that you keep making missteps, and perhaps people might accuse you of not reading the temperature on the ground. What would you say to that?
The ANC is a living organism. It is perfectly imperfect. Any living organism cannot be perfect, but the ANC were perfectly imperfect because we are influenced by both internal and external factors. And it is those contradictions that we find at times that will rely on the resolution of the leadership, how you take the organization forward. You cannot run away from being influenced by either external, if you're a living organism, or by internal forces. It is about how do you manage those contradictions to an extent that you must learn to become a better organization. That's why I say the ANC, as an organization that is a living organism, it must be perfectly imperfect. It must not seek to be imperfect, but it must always appreciate the imperfection that would always come because of the fact that it constitutes itself from different voices. That's why we call it a mass-based organization, a broad church. Those voices, it's many times, they will not agree, but there's got to be a point of convergence. At least discipline must be a point of convergence, because we cannot achieve a non-racial democratic South Africa if we remain ill-disciplined as different parts of the alliance.
So then we have to ask, I mean, this organization is more than 100 years old. It's got a long history. But some would say that it has never been this divided in the party, the alliance, except under this administration. Is that a fair comment?
No, that comment is politically not correct, because the appreciation is that there's always been contradictions in the alliance, but there's always been a way to manage them. I think that the public display of disunity is not correct for the African National Congress. And those who understand, they want to analyze the ANC from a point of view of effects of recency. They will not appreciate historically where we come from. They will think that historic, it only happened because of this. But there's always been a way to manage most of the most difficult situations, including the so-called 1996 Kia project. It was managed with public statements, but there's always been a room for engagement. For us to be a better organization tomorrow, there's no alternative to engagement. We must engage. There's no enemy among ourselves. We can't hate one another. The ANC and the alliance must not live and die with leaders, because leaders come and go. They must leave that alliance intact.
We talk about the alliance, and again, today we heard from Saftu saying that Cosatu is on its deathbed, it's going to die a natural death. And what's happened is, again, during this period in history, Cosatu split. We've seen the launch of a new federation, and they've threatened. They said, we're coming after you. We're coming after you. We're going to undo NEDLAC and the minimum wage. And Cosatu itself that's remained is split. That's what we've seen today. So by default, doesn't that mean the tripartite alliance itself is actually under threat of disintegrating?
We've always understood that the liberation movements and the National Democratic Revolution, every time, that's why we always analyze what is called balance of forces, because we've always understood that there are threats to the NTR and to the liberation movement. Part of those threats, among others, is political ill-discipline and disunity, because there's a threat to unity, because of the ascendancy to power, the ascendance of incumbency. How do we manage those issues about political power and political relations between the state and the party? Those issues have got an effect in terms of what I call that living organism. mechanism. And therefore, those external forces may not come externally from the enemy. It may come from within our conduct. These are the issues that have got largely have got everything to do with the conduct of leadership, not so much about membership. Because what happens is that membership takes cue from the leadership. If leadership, every time they see a microphone, they pronounce about others of the alliance, their members are listening, and they may act and take literally some of the directives from leadership.
So who's supposed to manage this? Isn't this the job of the president? It's either they're not listening to the president, they're defying him openly, or something's gone wrong if this organization, people are just doing what they want to do.
We do not believe in the notion of a leader in the ANC. We believe in the notion of leadership. That's why we hardly speak of a leader in the ANC like other parties. We speak of leadership. And therefore, in terms of responsibility of leadership, we may talk about the president and so on. That's why, among others, the president would obviously, as a head of the organization, lead that vision of the organization, but working with the collective. That's why today, we did not only deploy the president, all the top six of the ANC were addressing rally all throughout the country and other members of the NEC.
Is there anarchy then in the leadership? Because we're hearing different messages at different times from different leaders, and we don't know what the ANC position is.
No, the ANC has got a position. Even if you can ask me about position, about issues of unity, for an example, issues of the NDP going forward, issues of radical socio-economic transformation, those issues are there in the ANC. It's quite regrettable that, like you say, we have also been observing that leaders of the ANC have been indicating right in some of them, indicating left and turn right, and sending mixed messages. And this comes also from our members who time to time complain and say, but we are missing the message. What is the message from this address? And I think it's unfortunate, time to time, our responsibility is always to caution leaders as and when they make those statements that, look, remember, we're not leading ourselves, because the biggest responsibility of being an ANC leader, you don't lead members of the ANC. You lead non-members, including supporters of the ANC. You dare not send mixed messages to them, because their hope and aspiration can only be addressed by the African National Congress.
Secretary General Gwede Mantashe said today, when you combine factionalism and corruption together, what you get is accidental leadership succession. That is quite a thing to say. Are we saying that all of these events, actually, it's about who's going to take over in December?
One of the meetings that the former Liberation Movement Secretary General has held last year, which is an old report that the Secretary talked about today, we got a report that as they met in Tanzania before the election of the Chama Pindus, also they met here in Sentin in Johannesburg. One of the threats to the Liberation Movement is unmanaged succession. For the first time, Chama Pindus had 42 candidates for the president. It has never happened. That is accidental. That's why, among others, you need a rigorous political and organizational program to build a leader, so that you don't somebody accidentally come from the plenary or a floor of the conference, not being known by anybody. That's why you must fight factions, because it is possible to get somebody who's unknown from obscurity to be elected based on a popularity and based on the dominance of a faction.
All right, perhaps finally, I mean, the sound, the call is constantly about the president to resign. Is there a case for, even if he's done nothing wrong, it does seem that people aren't talking about deserting the ANC. They just want one person to step aside. For the sake of unity, for the sake of the greater good, is it not a conversation that you should be having that, Mr. President, you've served us well, thank you so much, but you know what, this is what we're seeing, and maybe the simplest and quickest solution is for you to step down?
That is the point of entrism. Anybody who wants to destroy the African National Congress, to test waters first and foremost, is exactly to make the point. As a point as though it's a point of gesture. We want unity, we want a united South Africa, but this one must move. That is a point of entrism, which is dangerous for the African National Congress. Put the next person there, that point is made again. We will never have stability in the ANC in terms of leadership. If there is a need, President Zuma's term as a head of the ANC comes to an end come December, and the structures of the ANC at an appropriate time will be given an opportunity to reflect on those issues. Who becomes the leader of the ANC? Certainly, even if the president wishes, is disallowed in terms of the constitution of the ANC to become the president of the ANC. So that issue is neither here nor there for us at the moment. What we are focusing on is unity of the African National Congress. We are going to the policy conference, because the issue is not about a leadership or individual. It's about policies that must change this country and take South Africa forward.
Okay. Zizi Kodwa, spokesperson ANC. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and after that we'll have more news for you. Stay with us.